This morning you walked out, raked up the grass you just cut, and tucked it gently around your tomato plants the way your grandmother packed straw around hers, to lock in the moisture, to feed the soil. And that one kind, generous habit is cooking your plant to death from the ground up. Here's what almost nobody tells you. One of these 10 mistakes can take a healthy 6-foot tomato plant, heavy with green fruit, and turn it into a brown, collapsed skeleton in a matter of days. Not from a bug, not from a blight you saw coming. From heat you can't see at all, built up right against the stem by something you spread there to help it. The stem swells, darkens, goes soft at the soil line, and the whole plant folds over like its spine was pulled out. That's mistake number 6. And when we get there, I'll show you the 30-second fix that stops it cold and lets you keep mulching the way you always wanted to. So here's the deal. 10 mistakes. 10 things you must never do to a tomato plant in June, because June decides your entire summer. June is when the heat arrives, when the fruit sets, when the diseases wake up in the soil, when one wrong move stops being a small problem and becomes the end of the plant. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what those 10 mistakes are, exactly why each one wrecks the plant, and exactly what to do instead. The amounts, the timing, the products, named, not vague advice. The actual fix. Before we start, do me one favor. Drop a comment and tell me what state you're watching from and your growing zone, if you know it. Where you live changes everything here. A gardener in Zone 5 up in Minnesota and a gardener in Zone 9 down in Texas are fighting 2 completely different battles in June. I want to see who's out there in the rows with me, all the way through. I'll keep coming back to 2 things: your USDA hardiness zone and your region. The South, the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, New England, the Mountain States, the Pacific Northwest. Pay attention to yours. Number 1, drowning the roots, especially in containers. This is the mistake that feels like care. A hot week is coming, so you water heavy just in case, and you keep that soil wet all the time because dry soil feels like neglect. You've seen the result and misread it every time. The plant wilts in the afternoon, leaves drooping, looking thirsty, so you give it more water, and it gets worse. Here's what almost everyone gets wrong. That wilting isn't thirst, it's drowning. A tomato root doesn't just drink water, it has to breathe. When the soil pores stay full of water, there's no room left for air, and the roots can't take in the oxygen they need. They suffocate and rot from the inside. Worse, warm, soggy soil is the perfect nursery for 2 water mold pathogens, Pythium and Phytophthora, that race in and turn the roots brown and mushy. Once the roots are gone, the plant can't pull up water no matter how much you pour on, so it wilts, and you read that as thirst, water again, and finish it off. In containers, this one mistake accounts for about 70% of June plant deaths. So here's the fix, and it costs you nothing but the discipline to wait. In the ground, tomatoes need about 1 to 1.5 inches of water a week, given in 1 or 2 long, deep soakings, not a daily sprinkle. In pots, throw away the schedule and use your hand. Push your finger an inch down into the soil. Damp down there? Walk away. Top inch dry and the pot feels light when you tip it. Now you water slowly until it runs out the bottom. That finger test beats any moisture meter they'll sell you at the hardware store. Your region changes the rhythm. Sandy soils common across the South, and the coastal Mid-Atlantic drain fast, so you'll check more often. Heavy clay, like much of the Midwest, holds water for days, so back off and let it dry between drinks. Either way, the goal is the same. Damp, never swamp. And if you're not subscribed yet, take 1 second and do it now. I won't beg you. I'll just tell you the truth about how this works. YouTube doesn't reliably show my videos to anyone unless it recognizes them as a regular viewer. So if you find this useful, subscribing is the one thing that tells the machine to keep sending it your way. That's the whole pitch. 1 click, and you keep getting this every week. Number 2, feeding rich nitrogen all season long. This is the mistake that feels like love. You want big, strong, dark green plants? So you reach for the all-purpose plant food, the bright blue stuff, and keep feeding that same rich nitrogen right through summer. And the plant rewards you. It grows lush, tall, enormous, the envy of the neighborhood, and it gives you almost no tomatoes. The Old Farmer's Almanac has a phrase gardeners have used for generations. The plant has gone all to vine. Here's what's happening inside. Nitrogen is the leaf and stem nutrient, the signal to grow green tissue. Flood the plant with it, and it pours every bit of its energy into foliage, because that's exactly what you keep telling it to do. But fruit doesn't run on nitrogen. Flowering runs on phosphorus, the middle number on the bag, and the plant uses potassium, the last number, to size up and ripen the fruit. A plant swimming in nitrogen, starved of the signal to reproduce, just keeps making leaves and postponing the harvest. You've grown a gorgeous houseplant that happens to be a tomato. So here's the fix. Once flowering begins, stop the high nitrogen all-purpose feed. Switch to something formulated for tomatoes and vegetables, a balanced organic granular like a 555 or a lower nitrogen, higher bloom blend like the 10th of May 2010. You'll find them at any Home Depot, Lowe's, or garden center. Oklahoma State University Extension points gardeners toward that lower nitrogen, higher phosphorus direction once fruit set is the goal. Side dress it lightly at the drip line, a few inches off the stem so it doesn't burn the base. And if you'd rather feed the soil than the plant, work a few inches of finished compost in before you ever transplant it. Releases slow and steady and never spikes. There's a bonus reason to back off. The North Carolina Cooperative Extension notes that an overdose of high nitrogen fertilizer can actually make the flowers drop right off the plant. So the very thing you thought was helping can cost you the harvest twice over. And one warning while we're on feeding, because it ambushes good gardeners every year: watch your bagged soil. A University of Vermont study found that 63% of certain bulk and bagged garden soil products were low in organic matter and contaminated with aminopyralid, a persistent herbicide that causes catastrophic cupping, curling, and stunting in tomatoes. If your new leaves are twisting like fern fronds for no reason you can find, suspect the bag, not yourself. Number 3, pruning a bush tomato like it's a vine. This one kills your harvest by 1,000 cuts, and it comes from advice that's perfectly correct for the wrong plant. You've heard you should pinch the suckers and top your tomatoes to focus their energy. So you do it to everything. And on some of your plants, you just cut off your entire crop. Here's what almost everyone misses. There are 2 completely different kinds of tomato, and they want opposite things. Indeterminate tomatoes are the tall, vining kind that keep climbing and fruiting all season. Those you prune. Determinate tomatoes are the compact, bushy kind, genetically programmed to grow to a set height, throw one big concentrated flush of flowers, and ripen it all at once. And here's the trap. On a determinate plant, those flowers form at the tips of the branches, and on the very side, shoots people call suckers. So when you top a determinate plant, or strip its suckers like you would a vine, you're physically cutting off the sites where your fruit was going to come from. You don't focus its energy. You cap its yield permanently and strip away the leaf canopy that was supposed to shade the fruit. So here's the fix, and it takes 10 seconds with a plant tag. Before you cut anything, find out which one you've got. It's printed right on the seed packet or the nursery stick. Determinate or indeterminate. Says determinate or bush? Leave it be. Let it grow into the tidy little bush it was bred to be, and just give it a cage for support. Save your pruning hand for the tall vining types, knowing your plant isn't a detail. It's the whole game. Number 4, letting the lowest leaves lie on the soil. This is the open door, and most people never notice it's open. You've got a healthy plant, and the bottom branches sag down until they're resting right on the dirt. Looks like nothing. It's the single most common way a disease climbs aboard. Here's the mechanism. The spores of the worst tomato diseases, early blight, that's alternaria, and the late blight water mold, live in the soil and on last year's plant debris. They can't jump, they need a ride. And every time it rains or you water, the soil splashes up and flings those spores onto the lowest leaves, the ones lying right there in the splash zone. Once a spore lands and infects a leaf, the disease climbs, leaf by leaf, up the plant, what growers call the ladder effect, each wet night carrying it one rung higher. You left a ladder leaning against your plant, and the disease walked right up it. So here's the fix, and you can do it tonight in 5 minutes. Once your plant is well established, strip off every leaf and branch within the bottom 12 inches of the ground. Pull them clean off, leaving bare stem from the soil up. You've just removed the bottom rungs of the ladder, opened up airflow around the base so the plant dries faster after rain, and cut your disease pressure dramatically. This matters most in humid early summer weather, anywhere the air sits warm and wet. And that's most of the eastern half of the country in June. Number 5. Spraying preventative insecticide just to be safe. This one feels responsible, and it quietly wrecks the very system that was protecting you. You don't even see pests yet, but you spray a systemic insecticide across the whole garden as insurance. June is the worst possible month to do it. Here's why. June is peak season for native bees, and the predators, ladybugs, lacewings, parasitic wasps that eat your pests for free, around the clock, no paycheck. A broad preventative spray doesn't sort the good bugs from the bad. It clears the whole board. And a systemic is worse, because the chemical moves up through the plant's own plumbing and ends up in the pollen and nectar, which means you're poisoning the very bees that pollinate your tomatoes. You knock out your free workforce. You breed chemical resistance into the pests that survive, and the next outbreak hits a garden with no defenses left. So here's the fix, what professionals call integrated pest management. Don't spray on a calendar. Spray on evidence. Scout your plants. As a rough working threshold, hold off on any chemical until you're seeing real pressure, say more than about 5 aphids on a leaf, consistently. Below that, let the predators handle it. Pick pests off by hand, and if you do need to step in, reach for the gentlest, most targeted tool first, an insecticidal soap or a neem oil, applied in the evening, right on the problem, not blanketed across the whole garden. You're tipping the balance, not scorching the earth. Number 6. Mulching with fresh grass clippings. This is the one in the title. This is the one that kills the plant. And it's the most natural, most well-intentioned thing in this whole video. You just mowed. You've got a pile of beautiful green clippings. And you know mulch is good. It holds moisture, cools the soil, smothers weeds. So you scoop those fresh clippings up and pack them in a thick, generous layer right around the base of each plant, snug against the stem. You did everything mulch is supposed to do. And you just built a furnace around your tomato's throat. Here's exactly how it kills. Fresh green grass is packed with nitrogen and water, and the moment you pile it up, the microbes go to work, breaking it down the same process that makes a compost pile so hot you can't hold your hand in it. A thick wad of fresh clippings doesn't gently decompose, it heats. The center of that pile can climb well past anything living tissue can survive, and it's sitting in direct contact with the most delicate part of the whole plant, the basal stem, where the living cambium and the phloem, the pipes that carry food down and water up, run just under the skin. Sustained heat against that band of tissue cooks it. The plant gets girdled, choked off at the soil line. The pipeline is severed. And once that vascular ring is dead, nothing the canopy makes can reach the roots, and nothing the roots pull up can reach the leaves. The plant doesn't get sick, it gets strangled. Within days, the stem goes soft and brown at the base. The whole plant wilts no matter how you water it, and it collapses. To make it crueler, that hot, wet, rotting collar is also the perfect cradle for southern blight and collar rot, which finish what the heat started. So here's the fix, the 30-second change I promised, and the good news is you don't have to give up mulching at all. 2 rules. First, never use thick, fresh green clippings against a stem. If you want to use grass, let it dry out completely first into pale brown hay and lay it on thin. Better yet, use a stable dry mulch from the start, clean straw or shredded fall leaves. Second, no matter what mulch you use, leave a gap. Keep a clear ring of 2 to 3 inches of bare soil between the mulch and the stem all the way around every plant. That little moat is what saves the throat of the plant. Master gardener programs and extension offices all over the country give the same instruction for exactly this reason: mulch the bed, not the stem. Let me ask you something while we're right here, because mistake 6 gets so many good gardeners. Have you ever had a tomato just collapse on you strong one day, folded over and dead a few days later, and you never figured out why? Tell me in the comments what happened. I read every one. And I'd bet half the time the answer is a stem that got cooked or rotted at the soil line, and the gardener never knew it had a cause. Number 7, watering over the leaves, especially in the evening. If mistake 6 strangles the plant, this is the one that infects the whole row. You water from above, over the foliage, with a hose or the can, and you often do it in the evening after a hot day because that feels like the kind thing to do. It's one of the most dangerous habits a gardener has. Here's the mechanism. Same spores we talked about: early blight, septoria, the late blight water mold, and the same problem. They need water on a leaf to germinate and break in. When you spray from overhead, you do two terrible things at once. You splash soil-borne spores up onto the leaves, and then you leave those leaves soaking wet. Iowa State University says it plainly: these spores spread to new leaves by splashing rain and overhead watering. And evening watering does the one thing that guarantees infection. It leaves the foliage wet all night long. Hours of darkness and damp, the exact greenhouse the spore is waiting for. Early blight and septoria climb up from the bottom, browning and dropping leaves. But the killer is late blight, the water mold Phytophthora, the same organism behind the Irish potato famine of the 1840s. The University of Florida warns it can destroy a plant within days. It hits anywhere, it races, and a plant heavy with green fruit can go to brown collapse in under 2 weeks. The cruel part? You invited it in with a watering can. So here's the fix. Stop watering from overhead completely. Water at the base, at the soil, never on the leaves. Switch to a soaker hose or a simple drip line, $15 or $20 at any hardware store, laid right on the ground under the plant. Cornell University recommends drip over overhead watering for exactly this reason, and says if you must water by hand, do it when the leaves have time to dry. So water in the morning, not the evening, and the rising sun dries any splash within the hour instead of leaving it wet all night. Then do 3 more things. Lay down your mulch kept off the stem as a splash barrier. Strip those lowest leaves like we covered, and every time you cut anything, wipe your blades with 70% rubbing alcohol between plants, so you're not carrying disease from a sick plant to a healthy one on your own shears. Number 8, pruning a wet plant with a dirty blade. This is the surgeon's mistake. The cut itself is fine. It's everything around the cut that kills. You go out after the dew or a light rain, the plant's a little overgrown, and you start pinching and snipping, moving down the row with the same tool, plant to plant. You just performed surgery with a wet, contaminated scalpel. Here's the biology, and it's frightening because it's so fast. There are bacterial diseases, bacterial wilt, that's Ralstonia, and bacterial canker, Clavibacter, that don't live on the leaf surface. They live in the plumbing, the xylem, the water pipes inside the stem. They spread 2 ways, in water and on tools. When the plant is wet and you make a cut, the bacteria swim straight into that fresh open wound on the film of water. And if your blade is carrying bacteria from the last plant, you're injecting the infection directly into the bloodstream of the next one. Inside, the bacteria multiply and gum up the xylem with slime until water can't move. Then comes a hot June afternoon. The plant demands water it can no longer pull up, and it wilts and dies in days, even with the soil soaking wet around its roots. So here's the fix, and it's just 2 habits. 1, only prune when the plant is bone dry, dry weather, no dew. Midday is ideal, so wounds seal clean instead of swimming in bacteria. 2, sterilize your tool between every single plant. A wipe of 70% isopropyl alcohol or a quick dip in a bleach solution takes 3 seconds and stops you from being the thing that carries death down your own row. Number 9, waiting too long to stake and support. This one punishes patience, and you've probably done it because the plant looked fine for so long. It's small in May, so you figure you'll cage it soon. Then June hits, it explodes, and by the time it's leaning and heavy, you go to drive in a stake and you do real damage at the worst possible moment. Here's what goes wrong. Wait until the plant is big and you've got two bad options. Drive a stake in now and you ram it straight through an established root system, tearing the very roots the plant lives on right when the heat is peaking. Or try to wrestle a sprawling, rigid, fruit-laden plant up into a cage and you snap the brittle main stems doing it. And an unsupported plant left to sprawl flops onto the soil, dropping its fruit and leaves right into the splash zone and the reach of every ground pest and soil disease we've already talked about. You undo half this video by skipping a stake. So, here's the fix. And it's all about timing. Get your support in early at planting time, or the very start of June, while the plant is still small and the root zone is still loose. Heavy cages for the bush types, for the tall vining ones, T-posts with twine, or the Florida weave will carry a heavy plant without strangling it. Putting the structure in first keeps the fruit clean off the ground, keeps air moving through the plant, and lets it spend its energy making tomatoes instead of fighting gravity. Cage the plant before it needs caging. Number 10. Leaving the plant exposed to the heat. This is the one most videos never mention, and it fools even experienced gardeners. Picture this. You did everything right. You watered deep and steady, you backed off the nitrogen, you watered at the base in the morning. You kept your tools clean, your plant staked, your mulch off the stem. And in late June, your plant is lush, green, gorgeous, and it has completely stopped setting fruit. The flowers open, turn yellow, dry up, and fall off without ever becoming a tomato, so you panic. You assume you failed somewhere, and you start feeding more and watering more, which makes it worse. Here's the truth, and it's going to set you free. The problem is not you, the problem is the heat, and it has a name: blossom drop. The mechanism is purely physical. A tomato flower has to pollinate itself, and the pollen only stays alive inside a temperature window. Once your days climb past roughly the mid-80s, and this is the part people miss, your nights stay above, about 72 degrees, the pollen goes tacky and dead. The flower can't set, so the plant cuts its losses and drops it. The Alabama Cooperative Extension System, through its vegetable specialist Dr. J.M. Kemble, pins that threshold at days above 85 and nights above 72. Oklahoma State University Extension puts the daytime ceiling around 92. The University of Illinois Extension confirms tomatoes drop their blossoms when summer days run above 90. This is not a soil problem, not a feeding problem. It's a thermostat problem, and feeding the plant more does absolutely nothing. So, what do you actually do? 3 things. First, give the plant afternoon shade. Drape a 30 to 40% shade cloth over it through the hottest part of the day. Purdue University Extension and West Virginia University Extension both recommend shade cloth in the sack, 30 to 50% range, to cut heat stress and reduce blossom drop. You can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, or online for next to nothing. You're not blocking the sun, just taking the edge off. Hang it on the west and south sides, where the brutal late-day sun comes from, raised up on stakes or hoops so air still moves underneath, and only through the peak hours. Second, keep your watering rock steady. A heat-stressed plant that also dries out is a plant that quits entirely. Third, the long game. Next season, plant heat-set varieties, bred specifically to keep setting fruit in high heat, developed for exactly the brutal southern summers that wipe out ordinary tomatoes. Look for them by name at Burpee or Park Seed, especially if you garden across the South or the lower mountain states where 95-degree afternoons are just June. And here's the real freedom in this one. Once you know blossom drop is just temperature, you stop blaming yourself, you stop overfeeding a perfectly healthy plant, and you simply wait out the worst of the heat, because the moment the nights cool back below 72, the plant starts setting fruit again on its own. It's patience, not panic. Before we close this out, do one thing for me. Think of one person in your life, a neighbor, your brother, a friend from church, somebody whose tomatoes quit on them every single July and who's never once understood why. Send them this video. Don't write a long message, just send the link. It might be the thing that finally gives them a real harvest. Pulling it together. Because these aren't really 10 random rules, they're 4 disciplines, and once you see them that way, June stops being scary. The first discipline is water. That's mistakes 1 and 7 working together. Don't drown the roots, and put the water at the base in the morning, never on the leaves at night. Master your water, and you've shut down root rot and the disease that kills. The second discipline is restraint, the wisdom to do less. That's mistakes 2, 3, and 5. Stop overfeeding nitrogen, stop pruning a plant that doesn't want pruning, and stop spraying a garden that's defending itself just fine. Half of good gardening is knowing when to keep your hands in your pockets. The third discipline is cleanliness. That's mistakes 4, 6, and 8. Lift the leaves off the dirt, keep your mulch off the stem, and never cut a wet plant with a dirty blade. You're the one moving disease around your garden, or you're the one stopping it. And the fourth discipline is protection. That's mistakes 9 and 10. Hold the plant up before it needs it, and shade it down before the heat shuts it off. Water, restraint, cleanliness, protection. Get those 4 right in June and the plant carries you all the way to a full August basket. Miss even one this month, and you'll spend July watching a problem you could have prevented in 30 seconds. That's why this month matters more than any other. June is the hinge the whole season swings on. And listen, if you're in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, this matters more than a hobby. You've grown through enough summers to know a garden was never really about the vegetables. It's about standing in your own backyard in the evening with something you grew and handing a warm, ripe tomato to a grandchild who'll remember it for the rest of their life. You've earned that. You've earned a backyard that actually feeds your family in August, not a row of brown sticks dead by the 4th of July. These 10 mistakes are the difference between those 2 summers. And now you know every one of them. So subscribe if you haven't yet. It's free. It'll always be free. Every week I'll keep putting these out for you, the real reasons things go wrong and the real fixes, no fluff and nothing to sell you. And I want to hear from you on 2 things. First, which of these 10 have you already made? And did you ever figure out what went wrong? Be honest, we've all made at least one. Tell me in the comments. And second, that one person whose tomatoes quit every July, you already know who they are. Send them this. Now, go check your plants. Pull the mulch back off the stems, water them at the base in the morning, and I'll see you in the next one.